My eyes and face are burning, so my knees are burning. I've been working on this comedy bit for a while, and I finally just like, I need to get it out before okay. The 4th of July for me felt like a funeral, and I don't know how it felt like for other indigenous people, but for me it felt like a funeral. Always, this is my comedian microphone. And it's not that I'm not patriotic. I would think most Native Americans would say they're patriotic. Now, they may say I'm Lakota Nation, I'm Ojibwe Nation, I'm Arapaho Nation, I'm Cherokee Nation. I would love to be able to tell you which nation I would be from, because I would love for someone to ask me my nationality and say I'm Lakota Nation, Ojibwe Nation. But for me, it felt like a funeral. I know a lot of people are watching like Ken Burns, documentary. But for people of color, I don't know. When I even just walking into Washington D.C., I think about who built that architecture. People of color. It was mixed feelings for me, and it always has been, even though I am patriotic, but it really burned for me this year. So I know a lot of people are watching the Ken Burns documentary of the rise of America, and I don't want to downplay any of that or say anything negative about that. What I would like to do is tell you my experience on the 4th of July. So there's this odd thing. I started watching all tribes, every tribe and their stories on YouTube. Luckily, my producers had geared that up for me. And the oddest thing is, which isn't odd, Native Americans, we have this sense of humor, and it's instilled in us, and it's kind of dark, kind of odd. But I felt it in every single tribe. We're kind of like, this weird, we have this dark but quirky sense of humor, and I got it from everyone, which felt nice. But it also, the stories were upsetting to me and empowering for me, because to me they feel like my people. This is going somewhere. This is going somewhere, I promise. And someone may come to me tomorrow and be like, Diana, you're just half Japanese, which is not true. But I would still feel like all these indigenous people are my people. I don't know how I have their sense of humor, their sense of pride, their sense of wanting to defend my land, defend others, and be respectful. But there was this moment, and it happened. Sorry, it happened. I was watching King Charles and Camilla came to Virginia. It was maybe a month or two back, and there was this amazing exchange, and it was just for a second. He came to West Virginia, so I don't know if the woman was Cherokee or Choctaw or her tribe, but he and her locked eyes for a minute, And the dialogue in my head was this. She was thinking, those darn colonials. And he was thinking, those darn colonials. I told them not to go. And she was thinking, I told them to leave. You know, I was thinking, what do the British think right now of America? You know, they didn't want us to leave. They didn't, navigate all this. And then here's all these, I would like to say that most indigenous nations are unhappy with what happened, and they should be. But they had this moment, and I just thought they both were thinking, I told you so, and it was this very, and I hope I hope he's not offended by that, but he is when people think of the English, they think of the very most Caucasian people. And then you had this most indigenous person. And in that moment, they were like right at each other's level, like thinking, why didn't they listen to us? Why didn't either of them listen to us? And then I started to really think about the organization of the British and the organization of tribal people. And then what goes down in America. So in America, you can do anything. America, you can shoot guns, you can be a cowboy, you can blow things up, you can take anything that rolls on your land and turn it into an automobile. You can have weapons of all sorts. You can you can buy a Russian bride. You can maybe even have a slave. About anything goes in America. About anything goes. A lot of things go in America that don't quite go over in other countries. Do you get what I'm saying? So, the King and Camilla came and they watched cheerleaders and had I would say it seemed like a very family, someone, and I'm gonna say it'd be like, will you ask Cheryl to bring her famous vanilla dumpling cake and have, can you ask, Gerald if he can, and that is how America is, a lot of it. It's like, it's not very organized. I don't mean that in a bad way. But there's always you're gonna call such and such's cousin to do the fireworks, and we're gonna have, can you call such and such to bring their cousin's cheerleaders? And they were so gracious, and it was so beautiful. But that really is how America is. It's if you know somebody, anything goes. And sometimes our parades are not very organized, and sometimes it's there. And there is freedom of speech. But it was very interesting because I would say America is pretty disorganized because we are a group of collective people. What seems patriotic to some may not seem to others. But they were so gracious and they came through. But there was just this tiny moment when she was in yellow and he looked at her and she looked at him, and I bet they were both thinking, I told you so. So the British, when they do parades, it's incredibly organized. It's everything to the minute, it looks like. I don't know who they do that. They don't have a Cheryl or a Gerald that they call to do the pyrotechnics. I mean, I don't know, because they're a much smaller nation than us. But everything seems very organized, to the very minute, and very beautiful and elaborate. You have the men with the bear hat. That's a thing, a bear hat. So what I was thinking is, when you see these native powwows, it's honestly very organized when you watch them. They call each group in, either the jingle dancers or the veterans, and it seems very organized. And from my knowledge, all tribes from the beginning were very organized. Everyone had a job. Maybe it was it was patriarchal, or I'm struggling right now. Women were in charge. It was very organized. Even South American indigenous cultures were incredibly organized. So I was sitting here thinking, here's King Charles and here's this indigenous woman, but they are probably some of the most organized people. But because in America we're so spread out, things are very disorganized, because you can be anything you want to be in America, which is great. You can say anything you want to say in America, which is great. You can own about anything you want to own in America. Sometimes it just seems very disorganized. So I did not really celebrate the 4th of July. I was like thankful for our veterans. I watched indigenous veteran videos. I did have a piece of corn, elota corn, and that was about it for me. And there was this question about, with a lot of the tribes, do you or don't you celebrate Thanksgiving? And a lot of them didn't have they'd be like, yeah, no. This would be my answer. We invented it. So, who invented Thanksgiving? Who invented Thanksgiving? Native Americans. Who invented patriotism? I guess it would be whoever was here first, maybe. I don't know. Who invented the big bear hat that the British wear? What is that a thing? Who invented the headdress? Now, not all Indians use headdresses, but we all had an intimidation or some sort of tribal piece. So I have to, I don't know what the rest of the world did on the 4th of July. I was sad and watched Native Indigenous stories. I have no idea. But I will never forget this moment of, I told you so. And those darn colonials.